Hello, and welcome to Discovery Corner. I'm Claire Melvin. Pop the kettle on, pour yourself a glass of wine, maybe even put your trainers on or run a bath, and join me for another journey of discovery. It's March, and if, like me, you're in the Northern Hemisphere, meteorological spring has arrived. There are daffodils popping up and popped up, trees in blossom, the sun is rising earlier and setting later, and everything feels hopeful. I'm not the biggest fan of winter, and although self-diagnosed, I do recognise the symptoms of seasonal affective disorder, or SAD, SAD, and I definitely want to hibernate as soon as the nights draw in and it gets a little bit colder. Right now, however, it's all about emergence, and that is the theme of this month's Discovery Corner. The sun is feeling warmer and you want to throw open your windows, at least for a short time. Flowers and plants are starting to push through the earth, and I know I'm feeling so much happier and more positive just through seeing the big yellow ball in the sky. Winter can be hard for people, and I know so many people have had a tough time recently. But now that it is becoming lighter, it also feels like there's a shift that happens this time of year. And actually, rather than January, March might just be the perfect time to start something you've been putting off. In fact, as Alan Cohen said, do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. Beginning makes the conditions perfect. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't believe that there is a right or a perfect time to do something. I do believe there's a wrong time, absolutely. But actually, sometimes the perfect time to start is now, and you'll never get this moment again. So what is emergence? The dictionary definition is the fact of something becoming known or starting to exist. It's also the fact of someone or something coming to the end of a difficult period or experience. So it can mean both the end of a difficult experience, the bleakness of winter, and the start of something new, the hope of spring. Emerging doesn't have to be dramatic. It's not a reinvention. It's not a big bang. It's more gentle and subtle than that. It's the sense of something stirring inside you, your inner voice quietly whispering to you that you're now ready to listen to. Winter does something to us. We go inward. Nature hibernates. It goes to sleep, or at least is dormant. And that's no bad thing. We can't be go, go, go all the time. Hibernation isn't failure. It's preservation. And when the conditions are right, nature comes back. I mentioned in a previous podcast that we're known as the sandwich generation, often caring for children, ageing parents or relatives, and we sort of get squished into the middle. And then you add in perimenopause or menopause, and it's a surprise we actually hold it together as well as we do. We tend to put everyone's wants and needs before our own, when that's the nurturer inside of us, and our dreams, hopes and ideas are really just left on a shelf for another time. So my question to you is, what has been hibernating in you? It doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be a creative project, reading a book, decorating a room in your home, or perhaps you don't quite recognise the version of yourself that you see when you look in the mirror and you want to find her again. For me, it's probably a couple of things. So I sprained my ankle when I spent New Year in Berlin, and whilst it hasn't completely healed, it's definitely in a much better place, and I'm able to exercise again, which, for my mental health and sanity, as well as because I want to be able to move when I'm 70 and beyond, it's something that I need to do. And then the other, project I have, years ago, probably about 15 years ago, I acquired this beautiful Welsh dresser. And I painted it because I didn't really like it being very, very dark brown. Painted it again over time, moved house, painted it again, painted it again. And then when I moved into my current house nearly 18 months ago, I just thought, I can't paint it one more time. I'll take the paint off, I'll strip it, sand it, and repaint it. You know, you watch a few YouTube videos, it looks like a really easy thing. It's not. So I managed to more or less strip the paint off, and then I was going to sand it, and it's very much an outside job, and the weather started to turn. I thought, I'm not doing this in the winter. I'll pick it up in the spring. And of course we had spring last year, and then summer, and then autumn, and the nice days were too nice to do this, and the horrible days, I'm not going to do it outside if it's raining, clearly. And it's about 18 months on, I still haven't done it. It's sat in my dining room. Can't use it because it's just a half-stripped piece of furniture. So that is definitely a project. And I will do it. And I will let you know when it's done. So back to emergence. So for emergence, you're not reinventing yourself. You're not changing anything about you. You can if you want to. But this isn't that. It's becoming who you really are. Who you've always been. Yes, you're still going to be a wife, a mother, daughter, sister, friend, partner, employer, employee, manager, whatever labels or whatever it is that you are. But this is your time to put your focus back on you. To be the leading lady in your own life, and not just a bit player or someone who's behind the scenes. I'd like to ask you a few questions. You don't have to answer them out loud, just sit with them. And if you feel like it, jot a few things down. There's no wrong or right answer, and you're not a failure if this brings up something for you. It means that there is something inside, and you can do something about it. So question 1. When was the last time that you did something just because you wanted to? Question 2. Is there a version of yourself from earlier in your life that you miss? And whilst I'm thinking of that version when you had a spark and were fearless, it's whoever she was to you. And then thirdly, what have you stopped doing, quietly or not, that used to light you up? Now, if that final question is, I used to play sport, but my body is letting me down, what could you use instead? So maybe you're not after the adrenaline rush anymore, but the camaraderie of being around other people. Now you can either press pause on this, go and do it now, really think about your answers and then come back to this, or come back at a later stage and think about it. And if you're someone who journals, likes writing things down, and I'll admit, I find journaling really difficult. And I love the idea, just not so keen on the reality. It's a great exercise to do. And also this is, a great way to show that not everything works for everyone. I see so many coaches and so many people say, journal, journal, journal. And I just don't get on with it. But there are other things I do instead. So it's finding what works for you. But all of these things that I've just asked you about, the things that we no longer do, the earlier versions of ourselves who lit us up, they're still there. They're still in us. They're just buried under who we've become. They're hibernating, just waiting for the conditions when they can emerge. But that's not all they are. They're an accumulation of unlived things. They could be the holiday you didn't go on, the TV show you've been meaning to watch but you just haven't quite gotten round to, the creative project you bought all the supplies for but haven't started, the unfinished dresser that you're trying to strip and repaint. I could go on, but I'm sure you know what I mean. You have that thing, or even those things. And it's that thing that we keep saying we'll do. We'll start it next week, or next month, when the weather's better. when it isn't. And, you know, I think this is one of the reasons that midlife feels so heavy. It's so hard. We're tired. We're doing so many things for everyone else, and our hormones are going crazy. Our bodies may not be as forgiving as they once were. You know, who else remembers drinking all night with no hangover? I'm sure we all did that. And we're also carrying our unfulfilled dreams with us. Maybe you've put them in a metaphorical bag and you're carrying that around with you, with all the other real bags you're actually carrying. And it's tough. So if we know there's something inside of us, some embers that are still burning quietly, why don't we begin? Why don't we put all our bags down, unpack the ones that we really want to, and, in the immortal words of Nike, just do it? Well, as I alluded to a moment ago, it's because honestly, I think we're waiting. We're waiting for that right time, for the kids to grow up, to be a little bit older, for work to ease up, to have more of something, or just because we think there's a future version of ourselves that has all her shit together and she'll do it. So we're just waiting for her to come along. But here's the thing. There won't be a perfect time. I've already shared a great quote about timing, and I'm going to share another one actually. So Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step." For me, I have a bucket list and dreams, goals, wishes, things I want to do, places I want to visit. And I absolutely get the putting life on hold thing. 10 years ago, as I was just turning 40, my life changed immeasurably. I had no job, no home, no savings. I became estranged from my family. Every part of me was broken. And it took years of work and healing, and to pay off the debt that I'd accrued, and to get myself into a good place. There were very few holidays, none actually, and fun was something I did that didn't cost anything. And I continually said to myself, I'll do that when. And I'm now about to turn 50. And I'm still in denial about that. But that's because I just don't really feel it. But there's an element of that accumulation of unloved things I spoke about. There's also some grief for the younger version of myself. The hopeful me who had an idea of what life would be like. And maybe I've let her down, and I've disappointed her with who I am now. But there is something else as well. Firstly, there's the relief that seeing my friends and peers turning 50, none of them have spontaneously combusted yet, and they've all come through and are all essentially still them. Although that's not actually it, it's definitely helping. There's a level of clarity for me, like scales are falling from my eyes. We've just left the year of the snake behind, and I feel like I'm shedding an unwanted skin. And what matters is me, who I am, and what I want. I have one life, and I don't want to spend it waiting for the perfect moment, which will never come, by the way. I want to do and be and show up for myself imperfectly, because life is imperfect. And I don't think I'm alone in this. Midlife is full of cliches. It's not a crisis. It's a realisation. It's okay to want more. It's okay to go after more. And if we're parents, and even if we're not, we're showing those around us that dreams can still be pursued no matter your age or your circumstances. Although, for me, I think sort of the dream of maybe being an athlete or, going to the moon, although that never was a dream, probably not going to happen. And this time of year, when nature is whirling back into life, the blossoms on the trees, the first shoots are breaking through, this is the perfect time, which we all now know doesn't actually exist. But it is the perfect time to join the nature around us and start to bloom. The conditions are right. There's warmth, light, rain, and if it's good enough for nature, I believe it's good enough for me. Though please, keep your watering cans away from me. Just saying. So, okay, what next? I've talked a little bit about how this is the perfect time or the right time for you to emerge. You've thought about the last time you really went after what you wanted. You're hopefully now feeling a little bit inspired, or a lot inspired, and I don't want this podcast to end and this feeling inside of you to just die or just become little embers that don't really go anywhere. Your green shoots need to be nurtured and taken care of. As I said earlier, this doesn't have to be a monumental change. You're not going to quit your job and become a yoga instructor, though if that's what your dream is, absolutely go for it. If you look outside, spring comes to life gradually. It releases the shackles of winter slowly. You don't go to bed one night and the next morning all your spring bulbs have flowered and they've all popped up. It still takes time. First of all, you need the shift and for the external factors to be on your side. And then it's up to you and the magic happens. So this week, I'd love for you to do one thing. Think about what keeps coming back to you. The idea that keeps coming back to you. Pops up in the shower, or maybe when you're out for a walk. And because it keeps coming back to you, it isn't a coincidence. It's a sign. And that thing, write it down. And that's it. You don't need to act on it. You just need to acknowledge that it's there. Give it a name, and give it a place to live that isn't inside your head. Now you might be listening to this and thinking, Claire, this is all well and good. I don't have anything. There's no sign, there's no shoots, there's no embers. And I don't even have the space or the time to think about this or think about what I want. And if that resonates, I want you to know that I see you. And you're not on your own. And if this feels overwhelming and you have no idea where to start with you. Make yourself a cup of tea. Do one nice thing just for you. Because maybe that's your thing. Your thing is that you're everything to everyone else, but not to yourself. So be everything for you too. Even if it's just for 5 minutes. Even if it's just for 2 minutes. Because you're important, you're special, and you deserve everything. And so maybe you write me down. And if nothing else, I want to give you permission today. The permission to think about yourself. The permission to want things. The permission to stop accumulating unlived things. And that they deserve a chance. You deserve a chance. And you don't need to have it all figured out. As Martin Luther King Jr. said, you don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step. So we're coming to the end of our time together. And I've talked about emerging. And it isn't dramatic. It's not a reinvention. It's a realisation. It's becoming who you really are. It's noticing the light and the warmth are returning, and you're waking up from a slumber, from a hibernation. And if you think about it, what happens after a bear wakes up from its hibernation? It takes time to build its strength back up. It goes in search of food and water. Maybe growls a bit. But it puts one foot, or paw, in front of the other and cautiously emerges from its little cave or its den. It knows now that the conditions are pretty good and it can go and be a wild bear again. And if you like that analogy, channel your inner bear. What kind of bear are you? What colour are you? And what are your first steps? Maybe it is to go and find food. But you don't have to forage because you're not an actual bear. And maybe right now you don't have all the answers. And you know what? That's okay. None of us do. So just start asking questions and that's where the magic will come from. So thank you for spending your time with me today. If this has stirred something inside of you, maybe it's a bear or maybe it's another animal altogether, I'd love to hear about it. Come over and find me on Instagram or Facebook, and I'm at Claire Melvin Coaching. And if you'd like to go into a bit deeper or into more detail on any of this, then you know where I am. So until next time, goodbye and grrr. Thank you for spending your time with me today. Look after yourself, and I'll see you again soon. Stay curious and keep discovering.